where the mind is led forward by thee into every ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom. My Father, let my country awake. Stand for the national pledge. I pledge myself, always the flag of Ghana, and to be loyal to my country, to be obedient to the laws of Ghana, to love my fellow citizens, and to dedicate my energies towards the happiness and prosperity of Ghana. Thank you. You may have your seats.
His Excellency, Dr. Muhammad Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Honorable Priya Manikchan, Minister of Education, other Honorable Ministers of Education, Mr. Saddam Hussein, Chief Education Officer, Principal Education Officer, District Education Officer, Georgetown, other officers of the Ministry of Education, head teacher, staff, students of the North Ruimveldt Secondary School, other head teachers, representatives of the Parents-Teacher Association, special invitees, members of the media. Good afternoon. My name is Sarafina Burroughs Henry. My colleague, Mr. Malcolm Moffat, and I are the chairmen of this afternoon's commissioning of the North Ruimveldt Secondary School Esteemed Gathering. Today marks a very exciting and especially triumphant day for us here at North Ruimveldt. We know that our Honorable Minister has been championing the cause of providing equitable education in Guyana through the building of schools and the provision of educational resources all across the length and breadth of Guyana. But I believe that today's commissioning is especially significant since it marks a reborn, and a rising and a triumph. I say triumph because it was a fire that destroyed our school. And we stand in solidarity with our colleagues at Christ Church and St. George's, who also lost their schools to fire. While I was not there at the scene, I can remember sitting with my colleague as she described how she cried, how our then HM, the late Alison Cuthbert, cried, and our Honorable Minister stood with them and she cried as well. I remember our minister met with us on the Saturday and promised us that Multi will be rebuilt. Ladies and gentlemen, promise fulfilled. And just in time for us to celebrate our 50th anniversary in September. So yes, today's commissioning is special, and I believe that I am twice as invested as anyone else in this commissioning because I stand first as a past student. So yes, Multi is my alma mater. And secondly, as a member of staff, I was even fortunate enough to do my teaching practice right here at Multi. So I am a Multi baby. And so I like to think that I am like that one child. You know, in families, there's this one child that don't mean to move out. I am that child. But don't worry, I plan to move out soon. So let me take you right into the program. Some leaders make their presence known with loud voices. Ours lead with quiet strength. This leader is the kind of head teacher who does not need to raise her voice to be heard. Someone who carries both kindness and discipline in equal measure. gentle when it's needed, firm when it is right, and always fair. I recall when the list of appointments was released, and we at North Ruimveldt were a bit apprehensive because the outgoing head teacher was like family. She was here for over 20 years. But we decorated her office with a lovely welcome sign, and we blew up some balloons to welcome her. And do you know that she allowed those balloons to slowly deflate and did not remove that banner for a month? It was only when the men came to rewire for the air conditioning that they had to come down. We were sad, but you know, it served its purpose. Because as she said, it's the thought, that counts. Ladies and gentlemen, join me as I welcome our beloved head teacher, Ms. Risulan Khan, to offer the welcoming remarks.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. Madam Chairperson, please allow me to stand on the established protocols, but allow me to acknowledge the presence of His Excellency, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, and the Honorable Minister of Education, Priya Manik-Chan. Good afternoon. What a momentous day it is. Today is a day of celebration, of reflection, and of gratitude. Today, we are gathered not just for the commissioning of a new building. Today, we are opening doors. We are opening doors of raised potentials, of dreams for a brighter future for generations to come. It is with great pride and honor that I welcome you to the commissioning ceremony of the North Ruimveldt Secondary School. Today marks the beginning of new chapters in the lives of our students, teachers, and this community. I know that most of us can recall, and many of us with great sadness, that it was a devastating fire that consumed our school on the 19th of June, 2021. At that time, the late Miss Alison Cuthbert was the head teacher. What was once a vibrant place of learning, laughter, and growth was reduced to rubble in mere hours. It was more than the loss of our teaching block. It was the loss of memories, milestones, and of a space that shaped so many lives. And even in that moment, our community did not lose its spirit. From those ruins rose the shared determination to rebuild, rise stronger, and restore the heart of this institution. This school is a representation of the Ministry of Education's unwavering commitment to ensuring that every child has a safe, comfortable, and well-equipped teaching learning environment, and the Ministry of Education's commitment to fostering equitable education for all our children. Today, we stand in triumph as we celebrate the ministry's commitment, the hard-working construction teams, and most importantly, the staff and students of this school who held on, and worked in the little space that was there until this building could be completed. The North Ruimveldt Secondary School is a proud Grade A List A school with a passionate team of 53 teachers, 2 guidance and counseling officers, 1 lab assistant, and 13 ancillary staff. The newly constructed teaching block was built by Cares Engineering Incorporated under the expert supervision of Mr. Marcel Gaskin. Currently, the school serves 415 students, 187 boys, and 228 girls, and is expected to serve an additional 156 students with a new intake come September. The new teaching block includes several classrooms, science and home economic laboratories, washrooms, a library, a staff room, and offices. A $566.9 million investment. This sum, however, is separate to the additional work that the Ministry of Education has done to the other buildings and areas of this school. This includes the refurbishing of the auditorium, the canteen, and the dining area, and landscaping of the compound. The ministry also cleared our playground and asphalted our driveway. The administrative block and industrial technology laboratories were also repainted. And we know that the ministry is still not finished. Honorable Minister of Education, I stand here to thank you and your team on behalf of my staff and students for honoring your promise to ensure that the North Ruimveldt Secondary School is rebuilt, and for ensuring that what we get is not just a measure of quantity, but of quality. Once again, welcome, and I thank you.
Our new school is not about just walls and classroom. It's about spirit, it's about culture. And here at Multi, we have all of those. So help me welcome dancers of NRSS as they come and present their dance called Land of My Bird.
This land is the land of my birth. This is the land of my birth. And beautiful people, if you wanna feel free, this is the land of my birth. And beautiful people, if you wanna feel free, this is where you should be. So much gold and diamond,
North Ruimveldt has some very talented students, don't we? Please let us give them another round of applause. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we go further into the program, let us say a special welcome to the Honorable Minister Juan Edgel, Minister of Public Works. One child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world. These are the simple, yes powerful words of Malala Yousafzai, which captures the essence of what education truly means. A tool for transformation and a gateway to self-actualization. Our first guest today understands this deeply. Through a steadfast commitment to making education accessible to all, especially by ensuring that quality resources are provided for free, and that no child at the primary or secondary level sits in a classroom with an empty stomach. She is turning this vision into a reality. Her hard work continues to remove barriers and empower learners at every level. It is an honor to introduce a leader who not only speaks about educational equity, but acts on it every day. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our Honorable Minister, Priya Manichan.
Good afternoon, Excellency, Minister Edghill, Georgetown City Councillors, HM teachers, education officers, parents, particularly our students, and everybody from this South Georgetown. Welcome to, I see our former President of the Union also, Mr. Mark Light, head teachers from other schools. Welcome to this afternoon's commissioning. And I'm really, really glad we're here in a really special way. I just spoke to Minister Ben, who is in Lethem waiting on a flight out. But on the 19th of June, 2021, him and I were here, and he was actually physically trying to put a fire out. Literally, much to my displeasure, climbing up and so on, trying to put a fire out. He insisted that we must be able to save some of this school. Children cannot be displaced. That's what he kept repeating. We gotta save some of it. We gotta save some of it. And that was a horrible, horrible day for us, because right before our eyes, with masks still on, when we hadn't even yet gone back into schools fully because of COVID, here was a school being destroyed. And I was asked on the spot by the press what we would do, and I said we would rebuild the school. That's the only thing that we would do. And so we're here with a rebuilt school, and it's going to be even better than it was before, as you will hear from President Ali shortly. So we turned the sod on the 24th of August 2022 to reconstruct this, and it finished last year. But this school has a history. In your 50 years of existence, which will be celebrated in a few short weeks by your alumni, old students association, and the current student and teaching body, this is the first school in Guyana. This is the first school in Guyana in 2015 that we put a smart classroom in. Godfrey Monroe, who is here, will remember us for doing that. It was Mrs. Hamilton and I that negotiated that with Samsung. 5 years later, when I came into office, back again in 2020, when we really needed the smart classrooms where teachers could come and teach and then broadcast to students, sadly, this remained the only school in Guyana with a smart classroom. Not a single other school had been invested in those 5 years where a smart classroom was put into the school. From then to now, we have equipped almost all our secondary schools, or are currently equipping, with smart classrooms. Some of the secondary schools have smart classrooms in each classroom and each lab. That's what we're trying to do. And this school, again, in 2014, was declared a List A school. I had done that also because the school was performing well. And when we declared that school a List A school, we didn't then have a drop of oil, and we didn't need a drop of oil. And so sometimes those are the issues that are raised, that the improvements you're seeing is because we have resources. And we haven't told that story well enough about how we have improved over the years, because there was a desire to improve, and because there was a will to improve, and because people applied their minds and hearts towards making that improvement. And we haven't been disappointed. In its worst time this year, this school gave us at the 2025 CSEC and CAPE, the CXC results, and 85.06 pass rates. And I want to commend the head teacher and teachers of this school for doing that with your children. And oftentimes people don't realize that that's what we have been doing across schools, not just with our top, or what we consider our top schools. And so this year people were shocked when they saw us posting North Ruimveldt and Brick Dam and Christchurch and Berbice High, which incidentally has the third highest pass rate in the country, and JC Chandy Singh and Abram Zool and Essequibo and West Demerara in Region 3. Schools all across this country doing well, which means children all across this country doing well and getting better opportunities. And that just goes to show us. So Joan Pedro from Rukamutu in Region 9, bet you none of you ever heard about that and can't spell it, went to Anai and was able to get 9 subjects. And a 3 Mile secondary girl, and Charlene Ritchie from Aishalton, 9 subjects with 4 grade 1s and 4 grade 2s. And children just northwest Mabruma, all over Guyana doing well. And that's what this year's results showed us. Every year we'll be able to announce a top student. Every year we'll be able to announce results. This year, because of conscious investments of the Irfanali administration, giving every single child textbooks, the same textbooks, access to classrooms, access to trained teachers, access to parental support through cash grants, access to meals, nutritious meals, access to distance education on the Learning Channel and on the internet, access to other resources like geometry sets and calculators. When you give every single child the same opportunities, you'll see what we saw this year. The spread of the results was all over Guyana, children all over Guyana performing excellently, thereby bringing in opportunities to families that would never have been able to see those opportunities before, and allowing those children to matriculate into the Free University of Guyana that we now have, or in any one of the 20 overseas universities do diplomas or degrees or masters or PhDs on the Guyana Online Academy of Learning. And that's what investment that is conscious and equal and equitable has been able to do for us. I don't want to take long, but I do want to speak about our choice personally. We could be salt of the earth, which is specifically spoken about as a biblical reference in the Bible, Matthew 5:13. And let's go through, or we could be nuisances. I think everybody has a value, and sometimes it's important to see the nuisances, because then we remember that wherever there's a collection, a large enough collection of persons, there will be a nuisance, a public nuisance here and there, or people who want to get us into trouble and take us down a bad path and take away opportunities from our children. And so today I think it's a good day for us to remember that we personally have a choice. We can be salt of the earth. What's salt do? Adds flavor to everybody you meet, to people you touch, to people you interact with, to your community. It preserves goodness. You know, you salt fish, and then you could keep it for months, and it serves you, or beef. It preserves goodness and prevents decay and rot, and locks out bad from coming in. It adds flavor. It brings home freshness. And all in all, if you're going to be salt of the earth, you're going to bring value to your country, your community, your family, and those around you. And we all have choices. We can be salt, or we can be a nuisance. We could support salt, or we could close our eyes to the harm that not supporting salt would bring. And we have those choices. Today I want to recognize specially one Pastor Simon Harris, who's not here today, he's out, alumni of this school, who from the day the school went up in flames, showed us what it meant to be salt. Came in and offered him and his alumni's help to bring the school back up, and up to recently was helping me to bring in the improvements we needed to bring in. He's not here. I spoke to him this morning. He's overseas with his lovely wife. But to him and the alumni and the Students Association, we thank you for adding to the value of this school. So coming back to our personal choices, I have gotten a chance to see your president in action over the last 5 years as far as education for children is concerned. I've seen him in every role, but I'm speaking to you here as your Minister of Education. And this is about the 12th secondary school that Irfan Ali, as president, is commissioning. 12th secondary school, and we do one on Wednesday coming. And it has been all over, Region 2, Region 9, Region 1, Region 8, Georgetown, sorry, not Region 8, Georgetown. We'll do Region 3 on Wednesday. Every time any initiative was brought to the cabinet for children in schools, every time any initiative was brought to His Excellency for children in schools, they were warmly received. That is not to say they were not heavily interrogated, because they were. Because they were. Why do you need textbooks? Where are you getting them from? How can we get them at a better price? Are we sure every child is getting it? Priya, why doesn't this school yet have school feeding? Usually it's because the village doesn't have a kitchen or something like that. But what are we doing to fix that? How are we training teachers to make sure children all across this country, and not only children on the coast, are benefiting? How do we invest in that? Everything brought to His Excellency has been approved. And so, without speaking or walking around with a cap that said, "I am salt of the earth," this president touched us all through our children, flavored each home through the investments made in your children, preserved them and locked away the badness that would come from ignorance or not getting an education, looked after teachers even when teachers may have been led to feel that they were not being looked after, and loved them through it all by continuing the conversation to bring about realistic improvements in their lives. This president showed me what being salt to the earth meant in a very practical way. And he showed you all also how we can each in our own small roles, whether it be a cleaner in the school, an HM, a community member, a city councillor, an education officer, or a single parent wondering where your next meal was coming from, how in each role we have the opportunity to do better, make wise choices, and look after ourselves, our families, and our communities more. And I say to you that while this is not a campaign rally, we are in an election period, and in less than 2 weeks, or in exactly 2 weeks, I believe, we'll have an opportunity to make those choices again. Are we going to be in each of ourselves, with each of our choices, salt, where we preserve the goodness that's going on, locking out the decay that can come? Or are we going to close our eyes to the goodness of salt? And you will have that opportunity on the 1st of September. You're going to have an opportunity to remove yourself from the noise of the campaigns, the buntings and the flags and the t-shirts and the caps and the bands, and all those other beautiful things that make up our democracy. And you're going to get a chance to choose a life for yourself and your children, because that's what elections are about. It's not about the noise and the music and the jump and let me see, love and unity, or let it blow, 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 or the promises of a Lamborghini for everybody. That's not what election day is about. Election day is about you and your children and picking a future that you are certain of, picking a future that will make sure your children have opportunities you never had, picking a future for yourself of jobs and thriving and living, picking a future for your community, picking a future for South Georgetown, picking a future for this country where there will be no turning back from each and every one of us, regardless of our color or religion, gender, location, that we thrive. Election day will give you that opportunity, and you don't get that opportunity often. So this election day, choose to be salt that adds value to your family, that adds value to this country. And the only choice you will have, if you close your mind to the noise and you actually measure all that has been done and the different ways your children have been promoted and given platforms they never could have been given before. If you close your minds to that, you will see that Irfan Ali is the only choice to make sure we continue being sought in Guyana as a whole to this earth. And I ask you to examine that objectively, not because Priya says so, not because an advertisement says so, but because you have looked at it in your life, in your children's life, in your school's life, and you've come to that with a clear conscience. So this afternoon gives me great pleasure in this your school's 50th year to commission a brand new classroom laboratory block. President Ali will make the other announcements for what is yet to come still for your school. I thank you all for standing with us as we did this.
Thank you, Minister. I want us all to repeat after me. I will invest in multi. Admin staff, please ensure you get those investment there. Also, understand that education is a gift, one that transforms lives, and it also shapes our future. To give this message, I want to invite Latonya Aaron as she shared that message, and her poem is entitled, The Gift of Learning. Give her a hand.
Good afternoon, everyone. The name of my poem is The Gift of Learning. Education is a shining light that guides us through the darkest night. It opens doors both wide and true and builds a path for me and new. It teaches minds. It teaches minds to think and grow, to question things we need to know. With every book and lesson shared, the future is shaped because we care. It lifts the poor, it frees the mind, it helps us all be more than kind. From village school to city hall, it plants the seeds that rise us all. So let us learn and strive and dream, together working as a team. For knowledge gained is never lost. It's worth the time, it's worth the course. Thank you.
Let's give her some more encouragement. It is not easy to come up here and address a crowd. Now, today, the North Ruimveldt Secondary School is honored with the presence of the nation's leader, a man committed to education, progress, and development of young people. It is with great honor and privilege that I invite to the podium the head of state and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana.
Thank you. Please have your seats. First of all, allow me to congratulate Minister Manny Chan, the Ministry of Education, the teachers, all the staff and the children of North Ruimveldt Secondary School on this tremendous accomplishment here today with a new school. Today is an important day in the life of the students of this school. It's an important day for our education sector. But before I proceed to offer some remarks on not only the school, but the direction in which our education sector is heading, allow me to thank also our local leaders, the councillors from City Council, and those who are walking the streets every single day, and not only walking, but sending me messages after all of those walks on the needs of the community, on what should be done to further improve the communities around here. I want to thank all of you, and thank you sincerely. The plans that we have are enormous. I'll speak of some of those plans. But a school is part of an ecosystem. And when you look at the location of this school and all the other facilities that surround the school, you will understand what I mean by schools are part of the ecosystem. It is part of the community to support the school. It is part of the infrastructure to support the schools. It is part of the livelihood that supports the schools. It is part of the family makeup that supports the schools. It is part of the value system that supports the school. That is why in South Georgetown, we, as everywhere else in this country, we're going to deploy a specific development model that will empower people, create jobs, improve family lives, and give our society a stronger footing to mold the next generation of our children. All around our country, in the marketplaces, in the minibuses, in the schools, and even at our dinner tables, there is one question that keeps coming up. What are we doing with our resources, and how are we going to use our resources? And invariably, oil seems to be the dominant part of the conversation. First of all, let me say that oil belongs to the people of this country, all the people of this country. So too is the revenue base of our country, and every plan that we are pursuing in the future is based on a careful analysis of our revenue projection and our ability to fulfill those plans. After all, we are confident that you, the people, will have us as the government to make those plans a reality. So we have to be careful, conscious, and deliberate on the plans that we speak of. Every cent earned from our revenue base must be put to work for the people. And when the question as to where our revenue goes is asked, this government can answer with confidence and with evidence, as we are seeing here today. We can point firstly to the investments we are making in healthcare. Every family knows that good health is the foundation for a good life. Even your children, a good education rests on a good healthcare system. And when one looks at the voucher program, it is not a simple program. It is going to be integrated in our digital ID card. By the way, I think I got registered today to be the first person to receive a digital ID card. I have to pick up my ID card. It will be registered into the digital ID card. And why is this important for your children? Your children is going to grow up completely different from the way we grew up. we are collecting baseline health data from our children. So from a very early age, we can address their specific issues and address public health care through public education and avoid hospitalization. That is what a good healthcare system does. Part of that, of course, is developing a nutritional program in the school, expanding that program so that all our children can have access to quality nutritional support in the learning environment through our school feeding and meals program. Every family knows that good health is the foundation for a good life. All revenues have allowed us to strengthen our hospitals, build and equip new ones, and expand access to better care. Our aim is to build a world-class healthcare sector so that people will never again have to fly abroad for treatment. For a matter of fact, we want our healthcare infrastructure to be co-invested in by the private sector so that we will be a net exporter of health services, earning foreign currency and creating jobs here. They will instead be able to receive advanced care right here at home. These investments translate into healing and cure, into mothers surviving childbirth, into children getting the medication they need, into grandparents living longer and healthier lives. That is one way oil is being transformed into well-being for our citizens. We can also point to our massive investment in infrastructure. Roads, bridges, aerodromes, and city fences. For too long, parts of our countries have been locked away, cut off from opportunities because of poor connectivity. Today, thanks to these investments, farmers can bring their produce to the market faster. Businesses can expand into new regions, and communities that were once isolated are now linked to the rest of the country, and people can move around with greater ease. Infrastructure opens up opportunities. It is the foundation for new industries, more jobs, and stronger growth across every productive and service sector. Wealth is giving us the means to build those foundations. Now let me say this. You've seen the magnificent infrastructural transformation and integration of your community with the East Bank and the East Coast that is adding value to property. But there's one important point in this equation that we now have to take forward. And what is that? For families that receive the incremental value creation as a result of this investment, we now have to invest in them to optimize that value. And how do we do that? We transfer wealth directly to the families for a wealth creation opportunity. And what is that wealth creation opportunity? It is about improving the asset value that you have. So if you have a house in this community, you are already benefiting from everything that is going on, but we're going to help you to improve that home, expand that home, rehabilitate that home, so we create value. Because when we look at what you call the knock-on effect of value, with every $1 million you invest in your property in South Georgetown, with the current development, the asset value grow by at least 2.5 million. So if you invest $5 million, your asset value is growing almost twice the investment. That is the bank value, what the bank is willing to lend against that asset you're creating. So with this investment that we're going to bring directly to the families in these communities, we're also going to have financial education and financial inclusion built into the system. And I see Kathy here. And she made a brilliant presentation a few nights ago in a very simple way, when she spoke about the very issues. And this is where the Georgetown Chambers, the Women Chambers, the Private Sector Commission will have to work with us. Because what we have to do is to create growth nodules, growth areas that are shepherded by the maturity that exists in the system. And that is how we will help every segment of society to grow in this wave of development. And it is important, and it's linked to what is happening here today. Because if you have stronger empowerment at the family level, from a financial and economic perspective, it helps to build stronger families. And stronger families help to build stronger children. And stronger children help to build stronger society. And that is the effect, the net effect of investment and how it works. So, if we're to look at the infrastructure and the investment in health, education, infrastructure, and security, we are also making now, as I said, historic investment in housing. Over the next 5 years, we don't only want to allocate land, we want to build 40,000 homes. We want Guyana to expand its housing stock by 40,000. That's an enormous undertaking. I gave the analysis the other night. That is like developing half of Antigua's landmass in 5 years. These are no ordinary undertaking. It requires hard and continuous work, a clear vision, and a carefully articulated plan. Later today, I will go into some details into that plan, and I hope you will lend me some of your time in listening to that plan. And then, of course, there is education. Perhaps nowhere is the impact of oil resources more visible, more measurable, and more important than the education sector. Because while oil will last for decades, education will last forever. Oil is a finite resource. Knowledge is infinite. This is why we put education at the center of our investment strategy. Let us look at the numbers. Over the past 5 years, we have built or rehabilitated hundreds of schools across our country. We now have more teachers trained than any other time in the history of our country. We have more teachers who are trained graduates more than any other time in our country. All our teachers now have the opportunity to become trained or trained graduates because of the investment that we are putting in education. There is more available in the classroom. Technology is more accessible and deployed to aid learning. But building schools is only the first step. A school is only as strong as the teachers who stand in the classroom. That is why we are focused equally, as I said, on the upgrading of our teachers, the upgrading of our technological support, investment in textbooks and libraries, and now ensuring that we invest in the community support to promote learning. And one of the things that we have announced from the time school reopens is every Friday having half day dedicated to physical education, civic education, because we need to build citizens. We need to build citizens. So civic education, physical education is also linked to public health. And those are the things that are important in supporting holistic education. Now let me say also that under the GOLD program, the largest segment or block of registration is coming from our education system, our teachers. They are making use of the opportunity. But there is a crisis that we must look into, and that is the fading away of our boys and men in the transformation. If you look at our teaching profession, the intake of teachers, and the ratio of male teachers in our school, you will see what I'm talking about. And this is something that we must address. Women are capable and they can get the job done. But we must always remember that children also require that compassionate male figurehead that they can relate to and that they can hold as example of the lives that they will pursue. And this is something we must address, and address quickly. But we have to do it from the level of the community. If you look at our community meetings and community involvement today too, you will see more women are active. More women are coming forward. And we love this. We should celebrate this. But at the same time, we must let the male in our society understand that they have a role and responsibility that must be fulfilled. And we have to go to the root cause. We have to go to the root cause of the problem. We have to go to the root cause of the problem and deal with the root cause of the problem. Otherwise, we will find ourselves in circumstances in the near future that we would want to avoid in our development. So, we are looking at the totality of the environment in which we are operating. Now, some may ask, are we doing enough? Can we do more? And my answer is that development is always a journey, never a destination. Development is always a journey, never a destination. There will always be more to do. But we cannot deny the progress we are seeing with our own eyes. Children in brand new classrooms, teachers with new skills, families accessing improved health services, farmers transporting their crops on better roads, businesses opening up in regions once forgotten, communities celebrating access to clean water for the first time. These are not promises. These are realities being delivered every single day, like we are doing here again today. So when people question what is being done, let us not shy away from the answer. Let us point proudly to the schools, to the hospitals, to the bridges, to the scholarships, to the safer communities. Let us point to the lives that are being changed, to the opportunities that are being unlocked, to the future that is being secured. Oil is not an end in itself. It's a tool we're using to build Guyana that is healthier, stronger, more educated, and more prosperous. When the school was destroyed 4 years ago, some doubted whether it would ever be rebuilt. Nothing could be farther from the truth. The real question was never if we would rebuild, as the minister said, but how quickly we could make it happen. We knew we owed it to our children to restore their school, and today we are proud to say that the destroyed wing has been rebuilt and is ready to put back in use. When Guyana first introduced what were then called multilateral schools, the idea was to create a more comprehensive system of secondary education. One that would prepare students not just with book knowledge, but with a range of skills the country needed for national development. At that time, the education system was seen as too narrow and too academic, leaving many young people without the opportunities or the training required to play an active role in building the nation. The multilateral schools were intended to provide a broad foundation of general education at the low grades while offering diverse streams, whether in the humanities, sciences, agriculture, or technical fields, in the final years of secondary education, so that every student can find a pathway that matches their aptitude and interests while serving the needs of the economy. What we are seeking to do today is to ensure that every child who leaves school not only carry with them the strength of academic knowledge, but also to possess hands-on skills that will serve them in life and in work. That is why here and across the country, we are placing new emphasis on inculcating practical skills to complement academic learning. The future we are building demands graduates who can think critically and solve problems, but also who can design, repair, cultivate, innovate, and produce. It is this balance of mind and hand that will prepare our young people to drive Guyana's continued development. The North Ruimveldt Secondary School will be fully equipped to provide the kind of comprehensive and balanced education that combines strong academic grounding with practical hands-on learning. With modern science labs, smart classrooms, and technical workshops, students here will have access to the tools and facilities needed to excel, not only in traditional subjects, but also in areas that give them real-world skills. This school is designed to deliver a rounded education, one that develops both the intellect and the practical abilities of every child who walks through its doors. And this will not be an inferior education. What we are doing here is part of a broader effort to equalize the delivery of quality education across Guyana, ensuring that students at North Ruimveldt Secondary can perform just as well as those in our top performing schools. Being assigned to the school should not be a disadvantage. On the contrary, it is becoming a source of pride, a place where students can learn, grow, and achieve at the highest levels, with the same opportunities as any of their peers across the nation. The results of this year's CSEC and CAPE examination are out, and we are pleased to note that Guyana has registered an overall improvement in performance. And I want to congratulate the education sector, the teacher, and students. But we are not the type of people in leadership who hide from challenges. Despite this, we must also acknowledge that there are areas of concern, particularly in mathematics. This is not a challenge unique to Guyana. It is a Caribbean-wide problem. But we have shown that with investments we have made improvement over the last year. And I can say safely to Priya that the program we are pursuing, the use of AI and the Guyana Digital School, that we will be the model that the region needs for the improvement in mathematics. We are building out that model for the region. And this is one that must be resolved quickly, because mathematics is a foundational subject. It's the gateway to science, technology, engineering, finance, and so many other fields that drive modern economies. Without a solid grounding in mathematics, our young people are at a disadvantage in pursuing higher studies, in securing certain types of employment, and in fully participating in a rapidly changing world. That is why we are determined to ensure higher levels of passes in this critical subject, and why we will be making the necessary intervention starting from the primary school level to to strengthen teaching, improving learning, and reverse the poor pass rates in mathematics. We also recognize that there are gaps in literacy that need urgent attention. When children can read well, they not only understand concepts more clearly, they're also able to express themselves more effectively in writing. Strong literacy skills from the foundation for all other learning, from science and mathematics to social studies and the arts. That is why we'll be making stronger targeted efforts to improve literacy across time, ensuring that every child gains the reading and comprehension skill necessary to succeed in school and in life. We want every child to complete secondary education because universal secondary education is no longer a luxury. It is a necessity for personal growth, national development, and economic competitiveness. Completing secondary education equips young minds with the knowledge, skills, and discipline they need to succeed in life. Our goal is for every student not only to finish school, but to complete their full course of study and leave with the qualifications required to pursue their life interests. And when I say qualification required, this includes technical skills and technical capability. Therefore, vocational training is important in this equation to allow a seamless transition of our children to the workforce. That is why we'll ensure that no student leaves school without a solid foundation, giving every child the knowledge and skills needed to succeed. We'll continue to support parents so that financial constraints do not prevent their children from attending school, ensuring access for all. We'll make certain that all teachers are trained to deliver the highest quality education, equipping them with tools and skills to inspire learning. We ensure that head teachers are not simply managers, but true leaders of education who guide, mentor, and drive excellence in their schools. Our teachers can look forward not only for better salaries and better working conditions, but you can look forward to an environment where there will be competition, because there will be tremendous improvement in your package. And there will be a lot of knockback on the door for teachers who left here to return. And there will be greater competition in the system. I'm telling you this so that you know the only way to get ahead of the competition is by continuing to invest in yourselves. Make use of the opportunities for training and advancement. Very critical. A great future lies ahead of our children. A future filled with opportunities, prosperity, and dignity. It is a future where every young person, regardless of where they come from, can dream boldly and achieve fully. But for that future to be real, we must ensure that our education system equip them with the knowledge, skills, and values they need to thrive. Every classroom, every school, and every teacher plays a vital role in shaping that future, giving our children the tools to innovate, to solve problems, and to seize the opportunities that await them. We're committed to building a school system that leaves no child behind, that balances academic excellence with practical skills, and that prepares every student to contribute meaningfully to society. This is not just about exams and certificates. It's about nurturing confidence, capable and responsible citizens who can build prosperous lives for themselves and their families. With combined investment, dedication, and focus, we'll ensure that our children are ready to meet the challenge of tomorrow, to step into a future that is bright, rewarding, and full of promise. Now this brings me to the ecosystem. When Priya was planning this ceremony today, she made it known to me that there are some important opportunities that exist for the community and for the schools around here. When you look at this development node, you have North Ruimveldt, you have East Ruimveldt, you have South Ruimveldt, you have Tocqueville Secondary, and Lodge Secondary. Am I not right? What is the total student population of all of these schools? Just about 4,000 maybe. So how do we ensure we support through the building out of an ecosystem, positive, transformational, life-changing opportunities for those children and the community around here? Because as I said, the student is a reflection of the community. And we have to bring the community along with the development. It has to be integrated. So what am I talking about? Right in the vicinity of this school, there is a piece of land. On that side. There is a piece of land. And we want to optimally deploy that land for all of these schools I spoke about and also the community. And deploy it not by a simple investment, but by a meaningful investment of international quality and standard. So we have decided that we're going to invest in a 300-meter athletic track out there. It will be the first of its kind in Georgetown. At the center of that track will have a full FIFA certified football pitch as the one in Manora. And we will have investment for basketball, volleyball, and tennis at the back of the facility. Now, we are committing to making these investments, but I need all the schools I would have mentioned to commit to forming an integrated alliance among the head teachers, the physical education teachers, and I'm going to further commit that we're going to place coaches within that alliance to help your children and help the community. And through the Men on Mission program, I want us also, men here, to commit that we will give a total of 60 voluntary hours combined to this facility every month for mentoring our young people, for motivating them. So this alliance, starting with the schools, must then involve the community, find those men who will come on board on the Men on Mission program to do, in the initial phase, at least 60 hours of mentoring every single month for our children and our community. That is all we want. The women are going to come naturally. They are leading naturally. They are leading our country naturally. I don't have to call upon them. Men are slacking up and are not taking their responsibility. Case closed. I'm telling you. There is no debate about it. And yes, somebody might say, oh, not all men. Well, yes, not everybody, but it's a problem for us. And we have to fix it. Let's recognize problems and be willing to acknowledge them and fix them. Fix them in our society so we're going to leave a better place for our children and families. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think you have gotten a lot more than you bargained for. But I encourage all of you to listen in this afternoon, about 4:30 or 5, as we will elaborate on some plans that are just You know, I was in an interview yesterday, and I was speaking about Guyana and the plans. And I became so excited in the interview that I almost convinced myself that this is not once again, that this is indeed the best country in the world. And it was a foreigner doing the interview. It was a foreigner doing the interview. And at the end of the interview, he said to me, your passion made 2 hours look like 20 minutes. And that is what the next 5 years would be like. The magnitude of work that we are going after, the magnitude of work that we are going after will make 5 years look like 6 months. And those who, I already said, the structure of government will change. We are going to work directly at the community and family level because I want wealth to be transferred directly at the family level. We're going to find the opportunities. We're going to rebuild a system to take care of those opportunities. But importantly, and those who will embrace and be working to implement this vision will come on board knowing that it requires at least 18 hours of their time every day. It is just an enormous task that is achievable before us. As I told my cabinet, I want to see this happen in my lifetime, and God has given me the opportunity to lead. And I know constitutionally that opportunity ends, that opportunity to lead ends in 2030. And I have no intention of passing on any of these aspirational projects to anyone coming after. There must be that. So, with the faith, and those who know me know that we in Guyana are people of faith.
Yes.
You may not recognize it, but Guyanese people inherently are faith-based people. And with that faith, with trust, I want to ask all of us today to recommit to something much larger than ourselves, to recommit to building a unified country, to recommit after these elections, the very next day, we must be together on one platform, one single platform. And that platform must be to advance the plans for our country, the plans for our community. And I will say to you today that from day one, I would invite all stakeholders that are legally entitled to be there, all stakeholders, to this conversation. Right now, the plans that we're speaking about and the plans you will hear of today, in a political season, it is looked at as a political party plan. But from the 2nd of September, that is why we're putting so much emphasis on ownership of this plan. This plan must be owned by all of Guyana, and all of Guyana must be hands-on on the realization of this plan. We must make Guyana the cultural icon of this region. Our artists must have the opportunity and the space to shine and rise. How do we do that? We don't do that by sitting back. It don't happen like that. We have to be real. This is a real world. We have to invest in an international indoor arena where we will bring international artists and give our local artists a chance to go on their stage so they can be spotted, so eyes can be on them. It don't happen accidental. We have to invest in our culture. We have to invest in our authentic culture. and ensuring we understand what is the value of that culture by creating the environment to support the development of that culture. These are the things. These are the things that will add value to who we are. When we develop and just look, the First Lady is doing some amazing work. Not only the seawall, look at what is happening at 63 Beach. Some people came from overseas and they sent me videos about Metamenzark seawall. These are spaces that are being created that we must make safe spaces. You see us putting up those screens with the security cameras. Family must be able to enjoy those facilities. And yes, we want our entertainers and entertainment to grow, but we can't have pop-up entertainment. We have to invest in every community, in a park or a ground with facilities, with proper safeguards for the sound, so that quality families, quality community can coexist with quality entertainment. That is important, very important. And as a people, we also have to be responsible. The government, therefore, must create an environment. Just imagine in South here. If we are able to invest in one facility, one court, that we have beautiful shops that tourists can come on. We have a community stage with common entertainment on weekends, in the evening, that families can go out and give everybody an opportunity to be in that environment with one huge food court. So everybody can go and you can buy and sit on the food court and enjoy the community life and community spirit, than having shops at every corner affecting traffic, creating difficulties. And that is what is going to add value to those single mothers who are operating a shop. We want to create value for them, put them in an environment of dignity, an environment of pride, giving them the supporting ecosystem and infrastructure that will help them to feel a sense of accomplishment. That is what the investments are like. One of the big things about Jamaican tourism product is the richness of its culture and food and its identity. Jamaica is has been able to hold its tourism place not only because of the sand and the beaches, but also because it has been able to hold its cultural identity and build that cultural identity into that tourism product. We don't have to be false about who we are. No. Sometimes people believe that we were born here to speak the Queen's English. We have Creolese here too, so nothing is... in your school, you have to do what you have to do because you have to have your writing skill. But we have an identity as a people. Let us not lose our identity. Investing in that identity is also important. And I know I'm going on for a very long time this afternoon, but I'm in this mood about talking about these important things that really need the conversation and that really require us. It's the Big Ten conversation, right? Many people may say these are simple conversations. No, these are the conversations that lead to the root cause of challenges and issues. And if we fix these things, then everything falls into place. So my dear friends, the road ahead is an exciting one, but I want the road ahead for us to be one that is unifying, one that is filled with love for each other, one that is filled with respect for each other, and one in which all of us will uplift each other. That is what I want. That is what I dream of. That is what keep me awake when I can see children playing together. It's the most beautiful thing that you can see. Our children playing together at school. I went to Saints as a young boy, and there we knew how to live together. All our friends, we were still friends. We knew how to take one winter fresh and make it work for 10 persons. We knew how to take a 10-ounce Coke and make it work for the entire volleyball team, the opposing side and on our side. A 10-ounce Coke. Young children today don't know what a 10-ounce Coke is. And I'm telling you, the utility value of that one sip is better than 10 Coke that you drink today. You can still remember, think about your life. You can still remember the refreshing taste of that one sip because you appreciated it. You know that that was what was available. You take a sip and you pass it on. And these are important lessons because there will be a generation that is coming up who don't know about these things. And they will believe that life is this simple thing that, you have, and you want, and you want, and you want. And you don't create any valuation or any value system for what you have. If you look at our children today, and we also have to learn how to be good parents. If you look at young people today, every new phone that comes out, they have to upgrade to that new one. And it's just, the power of financial literacy is important, right? If you can take $250,000 and make it earn you another $250,000, it's far better than a phone at $250,000. I'd rather a phone at $40,000 and the opportunity to earn another $250,000. And so these are, and when we speak about innovation, I'm speaking with Silicon Valley, but I'm also speaking with the small innovators who we want to bring here to work along with our children so we can be an innovation hub. I'm telling you, we're going to do big things. We're going to put together drones here, and we're going to put together things that the world doubt a small country like this can put together. We're going to put together big things here. We're going to lead like never before. We're going to lead on energy. We're going to lead on food. We're going to lead on climate. We're going to provide leadership. We're going to provide good leadership. We're going to work on ensuring that we are the center of this region, we're the center of this globe, and that the globe must know that there is a country called Guyana, and we'll be punching very hard. And these are not dreams. These are absolutely not dreams. If you had a screen up here today, I would have shown you just 10% of the integrated infrastructure plan that we have. The integrated infrastructure plan. Now, I want any of you to honestly ask any engineer. This bridge is one of its kind in the whole CELAC region. One of its kind. There is no country that can build that bridge at the cost we are building at and finish it within the time frame. None within this region. The best opportunity people can give me is by doubting me. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, kindly remain seated. I'm seeing some movement at the back. Thank you, His Excellency President Dr. Muhammad Ifran Ali. And I would like to echo the statement of His Excellency that indeed a school is like an ecosystem. We know that it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes the effort of a nation to ensure that education progresses. Go ahead? Okay. I just wait for them to finish. Your Excellency, the Honorable Dr. Muhammad Irfan Ali, Honorable Minister of Education, Priya Manik Chan, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, dear students and friends. It is with great gratitude that I stand before you to deliver the vote of thanks on this historic and heartwarming day. The official commissioner of the North Ruimveldt Secondary School. First and foremost, so, Your Excellency, Dr. Mohammed Ifran Ali, thank you for honoring us with your presence. The government of Guyana's support for education is not just a policy. It's a message that every child, regardless of background, deserves the best foundation for their future. To our Honorable Minister, Priya Manik Chan, your dedication to accessible, inclusive education continues to inspire us. Thank you for championing opportunities that reach beyond classrooms and into homes, hearts, and futures. To the Chief Education Officer, Principal Education Officer, Assistant Chief Education Officers, District Education Officer, Georgetown, other officials of the Ministry of Education, senior and junior, thank you. Special thanks is extended to ACO Literacy, Ms. Grant, and her team for their unwavering support and the many late nights they spent here at Monty. To the engineering department and Mr. Canterbury, thank you for your supervision of the contractors in ensuring that the school is prepared for this afternoon's commissioning. To the contractors, thank you for your hard work. To our esteemed head teacher, Rasulan Khan, your leadership has been the steady hand guiding this dream to becoming a reality. Today's achievement is as much a tribute to your perseverance as it is to progress. To our teachers, parents, and community members, thank you for your tireless support and unwavering belief in this vision. To the ancillary staff who worked night and day and were there whenever there was a task to complete, thank you. And of course, our bright students, this school is for you. May you walk these halls with pride, learn with passion, and grow into leaders who will one day give back generously as the people we thank today. Let this commissioning not just be a celebration of a building, but the beginning of many stories of hope, achievement, and transformation. On behalf of us all, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let us now welcome His Excellency, Honorable President Mohammed Irfan Ali, to make a special presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, please now join us for the cutting of the ribbon and unveiling of the plaque. Please allow His Excellency and Honorable Minister to leave first, and then we will proceed.